What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Mock Draft Guy YouTube channel. And in today's video, I'm rolling right along with these 7-round 2023 team mock drafts. And I know you guys said it in the comments section in the last video with the New York Giants. Oh, where are the Ravens? Where are the Jags? Where are the Vikings? All that kind of stuff. I get it. You know, when I returned this series earlier this week, I kind of just stopped going in order, and I just wanted to kind of just do the teams that I wanted to do. And not saying that I don't want to do those teams. It's just at that current time, you know, I'm constantly simulating through a bunch of different teams. And sometimes the draft just falls the way that I want it to fall, where I can't not record a video on it. So today is just one of those days as well. This is the Cincinnati Bengals mock draft here. Cincinnati Bengals 2 years ago came within a few sacks, really, of winning the Super Bowl. This past year, it was kind of more of the same. They went out, they got the big-time offensive line acquisition that we thought they were going to go after. They got Orlando Brown to really solidify their offensive line. I'm not going to lie, it takes a lot of pressure off of me as the GM in this video here, because as of right now, I'm not really looking to solidify the tackle position any more than it is right now. I know that Jonah Williams requested a trade, but I still have Lyle Collins and Orlando Brown bookending my offensive line. I'm pretty confident in that. I'm confident that Lyle Collins will bounce back and be a great right tackle again. And then you're paying Orlando Brown to be your franchise left tackle and protect Joe Burrow. Same thing, Cordell Volson on the inside, and you have Ted Karras and Alex Cappa. We got to get a little interior offensive line help. We need a tight end. There's a few positions of need, even though this is a very talented Cincinnati Bengals roster. There are certainly areas of need and areas that we can improve. One area off the bat, I'm going with it here. We have to improve the tight end position for the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, you know, they lost Hayden Hurst. They lost basically all the tight ends they had on their roster. And if you look at it right now, their tight end one is Devin Asiasi. So not something I'm really so gung-ho about there. We're going to fix that position, and we're going to fix it in round one. This is one of the best tight end classes in God knows how long. One of the best tight end classes that I could ever remember being a draft fan, to be honest with you. Maybe up there with 2013, and the only reason why 2013 is because Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz came out at the same time. But you know, going into it, there are legitimately 3, maybe even 4 guys that can be considered as first-round tight ends. That's something that we haven't seen in quite some time. And one of those guys there is Darnell Washington for me. In reality, I think that Darnell Washington might be the first tight end taken off the board. The way that I'm seeing it, at least in my head, is Darnell Washington probably number 1 off the board. Then we're looking at Dalton Kincaid at number 2, just because I think he's the best all-around tight end from a production standpoint as well. And then you have Michael Mayer, who doesn't do anything elite, but he does everything very well. So I think those, and then of course Luke Musgrave, you know, someone that doesn't really block, but can be an elite pass catcher. So that's probably the least likely out of the 4, but I like Darnell Washington here. And if you guys have been watching this series for quite some time, you will know that I did draft Darnell Washington once before to the Miami Dolphins. But honestly, their draft picks and their whole draft just has to be blown up. I have to do it all over again because they basically addressed every other position that I addressed, and they also had a second half of the second round pick, and I think everyone knows at this point that Darnell Washington will not last that way. I made that video pre-combine, post-combine now. I think he's firmly within the top 40 picks, I would say. So I'm going to go with Darnell Washington here, and that is an amazing pick, honestly. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you automatically upgrade a tight end position, not only from a pass-catching standpoint, but a blocking standpoint. He is a top 5 graded blocking tight end last season in all of Division I football. That is amazing. 6'7", 260 pounds. He has elite athleticism as well. I think he would be an absolutely home run pick, grand slam pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, and Joe Burrow would definitely be pleased here. I'm going to go Darnell Washington at number 28. So really, first and foremost here at number 60, this is a position I think is probably the second biggest need, maybe the third biggest need on the team besides for tight end. Maybe I guess you could argue linebacker just from a depth perspective, maybe interior offensive line from a depth perspective. You know, the safety position, they lost a lot. Obviously, they lost Jesse Bates, they lost Von Bell. an incredible combination of production between those two guys over the last few years. Going to be tough to replace. So they signed Nick Scott. They re-signed Michael Thomas, I believe, as well. So some pretty decent signings there. Here's the thing. There's someone that's on the board right now that I think was a great prospect before the combine and just solidified himself as someone that's going to be taken pretty highly in this draft. And for me, that's Illinois safety Sidney Brown. I think this guy is incredible. He's got everything that you're looking for a safety of either position. I mean, he's a little bit on the smaller side. I believe he's 5'10", 5'11". He's 215. He's built like an absolute train. He could run. He ran in the high 4.4s as well. This guy is just so versatile, so productive at Illinois as well under Brett Bielema. I mean, all of the Illinois secondary was just fantastic this past season. But Sidney Brown really was the guy that kind of was overshadowed by Devin Witherspoon, but also had an insane career at Illinois, and he just further solidified himself as a solid prospect in the combine. So I'm going to say that you're going to get, I know that they might have their safety position, with Dax Hill. They spent a first-round pick on Dax Hill last year. To me, if Sidney Brown's on the board at 60, I think you just have to take him. With the depth that you have at the safety position, I don't think you can go wrong here. So I'm going to take Sidney Brown at 60. Then at number 92, I really wanted to address two other positions first before I address this position. I wanted to address the interior offensive line. I'm going to hold off right now. Same thing with running back. I look at the running backs that are there. It's in like anywhere between the second round to like the end of the third, beginning of the fourth round. There's like a weird state where I feel like you have elite running back prospects like Jean Robinson, Zach Charbonnet, Jahmyr Gibbs, guys like that. Maybe even Tajay Spears you throw into there. And then there's just like a block of good, but not good enough to be selected maybe in the second or third round. It's weird. But once you get past the third round, I feel like the running backs are just going to start flying off the board. This is a really, really deep running back class. So I'm going to hold off. The reason why is because Julius Brents is still on the board. And that was someone who, after I did this simulation a bunch of times, he was someone that I really had on my radar, but he was never really there. But since he's there this time around, I'm going to go for it. The Cincinnati Bengals have good cornerback depth. I don't think we're going to deny that. It's not great, but it is good. When you can get someone at pick number 92 like Julius Brents, who is 6'3", 200 pounds, runs in the low 4.5s. I know it's not incredibly burning speed, but he's got good long speed to keep up with those receivers downfield. That is a great boundary cornerback that you can get at the back end of the third round here. And I don't think that I could pass it up, to be honest with you. So I think I've said this a bunch of times before. The cornerback position is one of those volatile positions in the NFL and just in football in general, where you could just really never have too much talent. So I might be going best player available currently on the board right here. You could hate it if you want, but you can't deny the dude's talent. I'm going to go with Julius Brents here at pick number 92. All right, and then this is kind of the situation that I was hoping for. At pick number 131, I'm going to go interior offensive line here. And I know that you might be looking for someone that could be a backup right away, day one. Here's the thing. I firmly believe that Andrew Voorhees will be here in the third and fourth round. The reason being because obviously he tore his ACL at the combine, still put up 38 or 39 reps on the bench press, which was the most in the entire combine, with one leg up in the air. Absolute baller. That is someone that I want on my team that is willing to punish himself and go through that type of pain just to get the job done. That's exactly who I want on my offensive line, actually. Tested out great up until that point. He is one of the most elite guard prospects I've seen in quite some time. I don't know why he is so low on a lot of people's boards, but definitely after the ACL tear, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm looking more long-term here with this pick as someone that potentially could be replacing Cordell Volson in the future, maybe Alex Kappa. Who knows? They move him inside, maybe even Ted Karras. So there's a little bit of longevity here with this pick, if you'll bear with me, but I think that this would be an outstanding get in the fourth round if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'm going with Andrew Voorhees here. Then at pick number 163, you could see it here. I am on the running back list here. Maybe too late for some of you guys to be drafting a running back here. I know that there are some guys, in the mid rounds that could probably be an absolute steal. You're thinking of guys like Dwayne McBride. I mentioned Tajay Spears before. I'm looking at Mohamed Ibrahim here. Really, the reason why we don't really know what the future is with Joe Mixon, to be quite honest with you. Not only that, Samaje Perine is gone, and I wanted to get someone that kind of replicated his type of style of running and receiving and everything like that. And Mohamed Ibrahim, even though Perine is a humongous back at 5'11", 235 pounds, and Ibrahim is 5'9", 210 pounds, he still brings that ferocity when it comes to running. He's elusive, but at the same time, he could run right through your chest plate as well. I think he'd be an excellent complement to Joe Mixon if Joe Mixon is playing football for the Bengals next season. And then eventually he could be a guy kind of like in the playoffs where we saw more of Mixon and Perine really getting more of a 60-40, 50-50 share. I think he could be that guy as well. And eventually, Mixon starts getting phased out and Ibrahim or someone else comes in and becomes a starter. So I'm going to take Mohamed Ibrahim here at pick number 163. Then at pick number 206, going to go with a little bit of linebacking depth here. Surprisingly, I really didn't think that Jermaine Pratt was going to be coming back to the Cincinnati Bengals. Got him back on a super team-friendly deal. 3 years, $21 million, $7 million a year for what Jermaine Pratt has produced over the past couple years for the Bengals. Seems like a steal to me, but there's not too much behind him in the linebacking department. They do need some depth. That's why I haven't really addressed it earlier. I think there were bigger needs here. I'm going to address it here. And I'm going to go with back-to-back Mohammeds here. I'm going with Mohamed Diabate out of Utah, a guy that didn't even get invited to the combine. A little bit undersized. He's 6'3", 221, 230 pounds. I guess in the weight, he'd be a little bit undersized if he's coming in closer to 220 pounds. He's an absolute monster, though. He's coming off of a 5-sack season from an inside linebacker position as well. He's a tackling machine, and he's just coming from a long list of Utah defenders that have been drafted later on in the draft that are probably going to make a big-time impact in the NFL. So I'm going to take Diabate here as some really solid linebacker depth way down the board in round 6. Then with the Bengals' last pick here, I'm going to go with some defensive line depth as well. We all know that the Cincinnati Bengals very quietly have one of the better duos on the interior of the defensive line here, but not too much behind them. You can never use too much depth, especially behind the starters. Get a nice rotation of those guys and keep those guys fresh. I really like Dante Stills here out of West Virginia. This is a guy a little bit maybe lighter in the weight department, 6'3", 290 pounds, but he offers some really nice athleticism. He was 7th among all defensive linemen in athletic score at the combine. He also ran a 4.85 at 286 pounds. So sign me up for that type of athleticism. He's super powerful as well. I think he'd be a really nice find late rounds here. Someone that could rotate in, get a few snaps here and there, and just be an impact guy when he gets on the field. So I like this pick here, a little defensive line depth, here to kind of round out this super cool draft for the Cincinnati Bengals. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There is my full 7-round 2023 Cincinnati Bengals mock draft. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please leave a like, please leave a comment, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We are rolling right along with this content all throughout draft season and beyond. So thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.